Ça blesse, ça flingue. Hey, hey, hey.
Welcome back to the BME podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to be here for a good time and a long time. Fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Yeah, man, I wish I didn't have to work tomorrow. I wish that the snow affected my work situation. I'd be doing much better that way. But, doing good, man. We're doing good. So I keep the lights on.
Hey, that's part of the negatives. One negative when you have a remote job, it don't matter what's going on. They're going to be like, you can work though.
Right.
Trust me, I understand because my wife got to work tomorrow too. They say, oh yeah, the office is closed, but y'all all got a laptop. See you on Monday.
See? There you go, bro.
Tough times. Tough times, man. And it's some tough times for the Rams and tough times for the Broncos. They lost. They will not be in the Super Bowl. We'll start off with the first game of the slate of games on the Sunday schedule for championship. Broncos, Pats, really, really, really nasty game that second half because of the weather. How do y'all feel about that game? And do you think in the future that there should be some type of rule where it's like these teams have to have retractable roofs instead of being open stadiums?
I think because they play in January and February, outside of like the neutral site of a Super Bowl, you're going to get the weather. Like that's the home field advantage. You might have a California team playing in the cold, and that's the advantage that you have. So, yeah, with a retractable roof, that would be perfect. If MetLife had that, shoot, we might have another Super Bowl here at some point, but that'll never happen again. So, I mean, it is what it is. I remember as a kid watching those like Patriots Raiders games when there's like 8 inches of snow on the field and they're trying to like make way down the field, and it's tough. It just adds another challenge that you got to kind of play through, and it was an ugly game, sloppy. Started off good for the Broncos, but then like Stidham, he's a backup quarterback who hasn't played in 2 years, so it looked like it. Once they put pressure on him, things were ugly, and then it got even uglier once the snow started coming down. Like basically, once they went for it on fourth down in the first half and didn't kick the field goal, that was the worst thing they could have done. Because if you were prepared, you would have seen like, hey, second half, we might get a little bit of snow. It's going to be hard to move the ball up and down the field, try to help out the backup quarterback. But Sean Payton, getting a little arrogant and cocky, thought, hey, I'm gonna take this backup and try to go for it on fourth down instead of just taking the points and going up 10-0. So sometimes you got to see what your personnel is and realize maybe I shouldn't be that aggressive. With Bo Nix, maybe you do that. Stidham, you don't. And yeah, the Patriots had an easier route, easier than, let's say, the NFC, because the NFC was great. But they had to play C.J. Stroud, who threw 5 picks. Justin Herbert, who, I mean, they didn't really have anything for him, and then a backup in Jared Stidham. So, yeah, it was a tough first game to watch, honestly. But I mean, I'll give it to the Patriots. You can't make excuses for the circumstances that they were faced with. Sure, you can try, but hey, they're in the Super Bowl, so shout out to them, I guess.
Hey, Greg, speaking of CJ Stroud, right? Just before you even go into that, I just want to ask you this. Being that I know that you're a believer in CJ, nobody expected the season to go how it went this year. Going into the next season, though, would you rather have CJ Stroud or Bryce Young?
Damn, it's a hell of a time to ask me that question right now, and to put my belief in CJ Stroud out there on Front Street too, because I don't know, like, I may have to get off that bus. That was bad. Look, I mean, he has a chance to, self-correct a bit in the offseason. I think based on the body of work overall, I probably still stick with CJ. I think if he comes back with the weapons, he can bounce back. But we talked about CJ a little bit. The immaturity with him is a real concern. There's no way to gauge that, right? There's no way to gauge if he's going to be a more mature off the field. I think the off the field immaturity is what's led to where we are now with this game, where he got comfortable after having a good year and he believed his own hype. And I think the work took a back seat, right? And so I don't think that'll be the case this offseason, because if it were, you'd be an idiot. You're not going to get that second contract that everyone wants so badly as a quarterback in the NFL, or just as a player in the NFL in general. So I think I'll buy some stock. I think the talent's there. I think he's going to play better. I think he's got a better supporting cast. Well, maybe Ted McMillan's probably better. Ted McMillan's a really good player, but not better than Nico Collins. So I'd like to say that I think he'll bounce back next year. I haven't completely given up on him, but I'm very, very concerned. There's a giant red flag up in CJ Stroud land right now, because maybe it should have always been there. It shouldn't have taken him playing bad for me to realize it. And I told Miles, and I told you guys in the chat, like when I saw the Amber Rose thing where he's leaving the field with Amber Rose during off season, and he's talking about how he's giving her a ride home, and the podcast with Michael Parsons and the clip with talking to Caleb Williams, like all those things are red flags, and it manifested itself, unfortunately for him. So no, I think I'll still give him a chance here. I'm not going to completely jump off the ship yet, but I'm worried. And I know that being a black quarterback, you'll find out how fast. I think will go left if you keep this up. Start the season bad next year, and look where this thing's going. Isn't it getting bad fast? So hopefully for him he plays better. But I think he will.
Hey, he start off bad next season. He better make sure he in his Bible, because it's gonna be rough over there in Houston, because you see the fans are already turning on him, and it's not looking too good for him. That next game that we saw, unless you wanted to add, did you want to add anything else with that Patriots Broncos game?
Nothing to talk about that game, man. I think so. The point about the domes thing, I would like weather to affect games less, because I think the weather can make games just hard to watch. The second half is hard to watch, guys, and it happens a lot in football. And I know some people find that there's the charm in it, right, and all that. And there are games. There have been some historic games where you've seen some great passing performances in snow, right? Like that's happened. But those defenses weren't going to allow for that today. So I don't know. I think for me, if there were more domes, I would not be bothered. Like if I didn't see guys playing in snow, I wouldn't care. Like, you know what I mean? As a fan, I don't think it would affect my viewing experience enough where I'd be upset, or I'd be talking about it. I'd be coming on here talking all crazy. Like, nah, man. Like, the weather not impacting the result of the game would be pretty cool for me. Because if people can remember, Drake May was not playing well before the snow fell, right? It wasn't like he was playing great when it was just like cold out there and there was no snow and so on and so forth. So, I'm not really impacted by it. We'll talk more about projections of the next games, but Miles at every point.
That next game, you could start it off, Greg. That next game that we saw, definitely a more exciting game from start to finish. Better finish, more offense, more explosive plays, all of those things we got in that Seahawks Rams game, which is their third time matching up. Crazy to have to play them 3 times. It's hard to beat your in-division team in the season, yet alone playoffs. They match up. Seahawks come out on top. What was your takeaway from that Seahawks Rams game?
I thought, the Rams didn't manage the game great down the stretch of the game, to be quite honest. McVay, for all the credit he gets, definitely seems like he came up short from a game management perspective. But, even with saying all of that, like the Seahawks to me have been the most physical team, the best team I've seen like all year. Like when you watch the Seahawks, you sit there and watch them, there's not many holes, right? There's not many things they don't do well. Sam Darnold obviously played well again this year for Kubiak, and The defense is just really physical. They're probably the most physical defense I've seen. They kind of remind me of those 49ers defenses that we kind of grew up on. And they've recently had, up until, those defenses the 49ers have had have been extremely physical. Those NFC West defenses in general have been extremely physical across the board. But those 49er ones stick out. And so this team resembles that. That defense resembles, they play with that swagger. They play with that. They play with the violence coming downhill. Like their corners are just, they're sticky. They stay in coverage. They don't really get lost. Like they know what they're doing. And so I had the Rams as the underdog going into this game anyways, is my point. But the Rams had a chance to win, and the Rams have the better quarterback, right? And when you have a better quarterback in the postseason, you have a legitimate chance, right? Whether you're on the road, whatever it may be. But when you mismanage the game, when you don't take the points in obvious situations, and you outthink yourself a little bit, you put yourself in a situation where you're going to lose a football game like this because the margin for error is so slim with the team that good. That's just the reality of it, right? So give the Seahawks credit. I think the Seahawks are the class of the NFL and the class of the postseason. They've easily been the best team I've watched. And so the result doesn't surprise me, but the Rams had a chance here and they blew it as well. And when you have an aging quarterback in Stafford, all these years count. You don't know how next year's going to go. You don't know where you're going to be. It's not like the outlook's not the same. When you have a young quarterback versus having an old one, you just don't know what's going to happen. So it's unfortunate for the Rams fans, but they've already won one. So yeah, I don't feel too bad for them. They'll be all right.
Miles, when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks, though, right? How much credit are we giving Mike McDonald for how they've played this season?
I'd give him a fair amount. Like he was one of the up and coming guys, and I'm sure now looking back on it, maybe the Ravens could have cut bait with Harbaugh a little sooner, and he might be their head coach. But like this guy is a really good head coach, good leader over there. He was 10-7 last year with Geno, so that's a tough feat to do. And for them to play as hard as they do, he's drafted well. Like I know we made fun of Griff for talking about the safety for Rookie of the Year, but that guy is a stud. He's going to be a star in this league, star safety. The secondary is back in Seattle. They got a great defensive line, and that's his forte, is defense. So his fingerprints are all over that. And then you sprinkle that in with finally getting a guy with talent like Sam Darnold, where the contract, there were outs in it, where if he didn't play well, sure, we can get out of it and figure out quarterback at some point. But he's played well. He's managed the game as well as he can, and he played his ass off tonight. Went toe to Stafford, Kenneth Walker. He's going to get paid in the offseason. If I'm Seattle, do I try to bring him back? Probably. Like that guy, you can see the difference when you give him the bulk of the carries out there. It looks different. So, yeah, McDonald, great coach. He's going to be one of the finalists for Coach of the Year. Probably won't get it, but, he'll definitely trade that in for a Super Bowl ring, which, hey, in year 2, that's not a bad thing to get right there.
Yeah, that's a crazy start. Your second year, y'all are in the Super Bowl, yet alone possibly win a Super Bowl. We'll give you more of a detailed, in-depth look at the Super Bowl picks once we digest who's going to be playing, who's injured, all these good stuff. We will break it down for y'all, give y'all predictions and everything like that. Some other news has happened in the NFL. You talk about coaches being in Coach of the Year conversation. There's some coaches in some new places. We talked about some of them last week. We're going to go through some of them that happened this week. We're going to grade them. I'm going to list some of these hires. Y'all give me a grade and what you think about them. Greg, as for those that's watching, Greg does not approve of some of these hires, so this should be fun. Starting off with over there in Baltimore, they hired Jesse Minter as their head coach for the Baltimore Ravens. What grade would you give the Ravens hire?
I'd give it a B. It's not.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's not like they swung out of the park. Like, honestly, for Lamar, I would have tried to lean more towards like an offensive-minded coach. But Minter is a guy who's up and coming, and He did great things over there in in LA. And yeah, he's a Harbaugh disciple. So I think he'll be successful over there. I mean, he's got all the pieces. They're gonna have to switch some things around, and I'm curious to see how they'll attack the offseason. But yeah, I'll give it a B.
Same here. A B for Minzer. I think the defensive part of this thing he'll solve. You're not gonna get all the complaints about Zach Core you were getting before, but who's the OC? Like you can't really grade it until you see who the OC is. I'm not sure they went ahead and hired someone yet. I don't think they have, but they're letting all these guys who have been here and been a part of the Ravens' success for years and years, 18 years to be exact, walk out that door. All right, you better replace them with coaches that are just as good, right? There's a standard in place in Baltimore, so they'll run you out of town real quick if you aren't living up to it. But it's about the OC hire for us to really grade that thing, right? So we'll see how it goes. But as far as Minter, I think his defense is pretty creative and things like that. And again, that's going to help. That's been an issue for them. But it's also a personnel thing. They need to address the personnel part of it. So it's a double-edged sword. We'll see how that all shakes out. But I'd give it a B. It's not the worst hire I've seen. I'll tell you that. We're going to get there.
I think this one is still on the positive side. Robert Saleh to the Tennessee Titans.
Probably another B for me. I think he deserved another chance, and I'm excited to see what he does with the actual quarterback that can play, right? And that should be interesting because when he was in the Jets, he had the worst luck ever, right? Being there, so I'm curious to see, how that materializes itself. But it's all going to be about the OC hire. For them, it's a little more clear what they're trying to do. They want Brian Daboll to not get the job in Buffalo. They're going to offer Brian Daboll a job to go coach in Tennessee, and that's his secondary choice is to go be the Tennessee OC, as opposed to, if the Buffalo job doesn't pan out for him, he doesn't get the head coaching gig over there. So with that plan, I give the hire an A. Because that's a really good plan. That's a really good offensive mind. We all know it too well living in the area. I think he did a good job with what he was given here, and a good job with Jackson Dart in year one. So I'd like that a lot. If that's how it all pans out, I'd give it an A. Right now, I'll give it a B until it's official. But it's Saleh's going to do a good job. He's a good coach.
Sticking with that, right? Because there's obviously some other hires that happen. Falcons, Steelers, Chargers at the OC position, but you mentioned the Bills. With ownership over with the Bills, right? Is the owner, Pagula, is he actually the reason that's going to hold back the Bills from actually getting the title?
It makes so much more sense, like hearing him talk. And seeing the lack of success they've had, it makes so much more sense, is what I'll say. And I think he's it's like a handbook 101 on the owner is not speaking. Like if you don't want your owner to speak, that's exactly why you don't. Because for him to interject there, and he thought he was cooking and tell people that Brandon Beane didn't want Keon Coleman, that it was the coaches, and there's been this power struggle. First of all, there's a player that's on your roster right now. It doesn't help you to go out there and bash him. Second of all, the reality of it is that Keon Coleman is the least of your problems. Like he is a symptom of what's wrong with your football team, but he's not like the overarching issue. Like there's not enough talent at any premium position. Matt Milano and all these guys you have, Deion Dawkins, those are guys that were drafted before Beane even got the job. So Beane is responsible for like 2 Pro Bowlers in his entire time being there, which is insane because he's been there for so long. It's been nearly a decade of him just being there. As well. And I know Josh Allen hitting on the quarterback buys you time as a GM. That's great. But you got to support your quarterback. And if he has not done that, we've talked about it on this podcast numerous times. Like when you watch the Bills, there's a talent deficiency at the wide receiver position or at the offensive skill position. And there's an arrogance because you have a quarterback who's really, really great, who can lift the floor, not just lift the floor, but really raise your ceiling as a team. And because they know that, they got cheap around the edges. They got cheap, and they did not go in and invest in perimeter positions, and it hurt them. It just straight up did. It's not a defensive issue so much as it is an offensive issue with the wide receivers. So for Beane to keep his job and getting a promotion, Beane is manipulating that old man who probably should not be speaking, that old man who should be retired on a beach somewhere instead of handling this football team. He's manipulating that guy. and Sean McDermott was the one who got the axe, unfortunately. Because I don't think Sean McDermott is a bad football coach at all. I know there may be some things that come out about his tenure there, but if he's going to get fired, Bean should go too. It's not like it shouldn't have been a one guy goes, one guy doesn't. It should be both of them, 2 for 1. But here we are.
I agree. Should have been 2 for 1. And when you're in a situation like that and the owner speaking out like that, red flags, fly them off 100%. It's given Jerry Jones, Woody Johnson, James Dolan, like some of the worst owners you could think of in sports. He's in line for that. And before this, I don't even think we really knew anything about the Bills owner before this, really.
No, but and then to tell you people that you made the decision because of the result of the Denver game. Why would you even admit that? That is so stupid. If you're going to fire your coach who's had a lot of success, fire him because of a body of work, of a trend over a period of time. There's something you're seeing in the football organization that you don't like. But to fire him over that Denver game, you want to fire him? If we're going to fire someone because of the result of that football game, you fire Josh Allen, which you're not going to do because Josh Allen had that Looney Tunes ass fall turnover at the end of the half with the way he was carrying the ball with one hand, he got knocked out of his hands, and then he had 4 overall. And Josh Allen told the world, it's my fault, which I respect. It's my fault. There's also nothing else you can say. But to then, for your owner to come out and say, yo, man, like, we just have to let this guy go, the coach go because of the result of that game. Like, it's his fault. Like, he mismanaged it. He didn't mismanage that game. He didn't make Josh Allen throw the ball short to what's his name? Brandon Cooks, and he had to come back to the ball and it end up being that turnover that everyone's so upset about. The ball was short. It should have been a better throw, right? He didn't miss the throw to Dalton Kincaid, right? That would have won him the game. So it's nonsense that you're saying that. And frankly, that's one of the most disastrous press conferences I've ever seen in the history of the sport, to be quite honest. So there's that too.
1,000%. I won't say it too loud because I don't want anybody in your household to get upset. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have hired Mike McCarthy. What grade would you give the Steelers head coach hire?
I'd give it like a C-, D+. I mean, I thought the whole goal here was to get better. I think they didn't improve on anything by getting him. And yeah, it's a veteran coach. People will, preach he won a Super Bowl with Green Bay and he's a winner. But he lost his job for a reason. He's been out of football for a year or so for a reason. I just thought that they would look towards where football is moving and look at one of these younger offensive coordinators. Maybe you reach on one a little sooner than maybe they should be getting hired. Like Shula was available. He's available now, but you were impatient and couldn't wait. Even the other coordinator from the Rams, can't say his name, Schoenhasi, or I apologize. I messed it up completely, but it's a tough name. I would have even waited for him because that's another guy who's up and coming. And by this time next year, he could be one of the top guys on the market as far as head coaching candidates. So sometimes it's better to be early than on time when it comes to recognizing these head coaching candidates and these prospects of good coaches. But yeah, it's just not a smart hiring. I think they didn't really – I thought they would have taken more time. Like, yeah, Tomlin was head coach for 20 years. I don't know. I didn't think they'd find his replacement in the span of 2 weeks. Thought it might take a little longer than that. But, hey, they might start a new trend now, firing coaches left and right.
It's an F to me. It's an F to me because when you think about the Steelers, and we've talked about this at length in this podcast, the Steelers have needed to reset this thing for a long time. And the reason why Tomlin stepped away, so to speak, I still think they told him to take a hike, and they just didn't want to disrespect him by saying it publicly. And he ended up they gave him the opportunity to say, "I'm gonna walk away." But the reason why that ends up happening is because they had been mediocre for so long, 9 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, whatever it may be, year to year to year, never having an answer at the quarterback position. And because of that, like in that situation, it led to this cycle you have where you're never really replenishing the quarterback position, where you're never really in a situation where your quarterback room is going to be at the level it needs to be to win a championship. Cool. So you never got one. Now you go out there and hire Mike McCarthy, a retread coach, twice over, right? And what you brought in 3 guys for in-person interviews: Brian Flores, Mike McCarthy, Anthony Weaver. Mike McCarthy was the worst option out of all 3 of them potentially, and you hired him. And you didn't interview any of these young upstart coordinators who would really signify to the fan base a new start, a new era of Steelers football, where you are going to blow this thing up and restart. So what Art Rooney told everybody was that we're going to keep our core guys, we're going to keep the Cam Haywards, we're going to keep the TJ Watts, we're going to keep all these guys who have been here forever, and we're looking to win the championship. We're going to try to find a quick fix at quarterback. And Mike McCarthy's worked with these guys, quarterbacks in the past. We believe in that. We believe in his track record, and we're going to go out there and try to win with whatever Mike McCarthy we can get. Mike McCarthy. They even said Mike McCarthy likes Will Howard. So you're telling me that that's your solution, that's how you're going to proceed as a franchise. That is so backwards, and it's been backwards there for such a long time, because you just can't, like, the NFL doesn't work that way. You can't be good over and over and over again 9 times out of 10 and get the quarterback at the same time. It doesn't. The 2 things don't correlate in the sport, right? It's why the Packers are a rarity. It's why it's rare that the Packers could pull off what they did with Jordan Love. It's just great scouting, but it's rare. So it's really a concerning time if you're talking about like what's going on with the Steelers, where they are, where they're going, because they had a chance to do this thing the right way, and it's supposed to bring in a coach who is a safe hire. He's a safe hire. Giants fans would have been furious if they got Mike McCarthy. It's a safe pick with no quarterback answer in the building. And if you bring back Aaron Rodgers and go 9-8 again, or whatever it is, again next year, right, which is the most likely outcome out of all of this, like, what does anybody have? What do Steelers fans have to show for that? That's nothing. You still have the same problem. It's the most ridiculous hire they could have made. But it's one of those things where the owner is far too involved in the football operation. That's really what it is. That's really what it is, right? And they take pride in this idea of not like having a losing season. That matters to them. Well, I think the object of the sport, if you look at the playoffs, is to get a quarterback and then build around that guy. And they don't have that, and they're going to be suffering for a long time because of it. So it's a dark day for the Steelers fans. That's the worst hire in this entire cycle. They could have hired anybody else. I would have said something different about it, but that was a really bad hire because of what it represents.
Agreed 1,000. Agreed 1,000%. Mike McCarthy, I saw a stat, has less playoff wins than Mike Tomlin has had in the same tenure of Mike Tomlin, and has been fired, I think, once in that same tenure. So if the reason was getting rid of Tomlin was playoff wins, you bring in a coach that has less playoff wins than he has.
You hired a worse coach than the one you had. How does that make any sense? You hired a worse coach than the one you had. You didn't interview Kubiak or Shula and them dudes. It's a horrific hire. It's a botch. It's a botch. And don't be fooled if they go win 10 games next year. You won't think, oh well, Greg said this. That's their problem, guys. They're stuck in this. They're stuck. And they think they might go get a quarterback this year in this terrible class. Well, there's no answer in this class. There's no answer. They are going to be really. It's gonna be really tough out there. But you know what? I guess the Steelers will do for this, right? The dark days. They've had some good times. They've had some good times, some stability.
They got Will Howard though. So
he said he liked them. He said, I like Will Howard.
To develop him.
Yo, and then they said he cited his work with Joe Montana once he got to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Once he got there?
That was too far.
Right. You mean after he won already?
On the Chiefs. Like, he needed more development. He had already established himself as kind of the GOAT of the era. So
he said that in the interview, and that went over well. Like, they went, oh yeah, you're right. What the hell? And then they asked Aaron Rodgers about Mike McCarthy, and Mike was like, well, I can't complain too much about him. I mean, I had a lot of freedom, so I can't say too much. That's a ringing endorsement. That's the guy you're going to hire and work with quarterbacks. And then you saw in Dallas, the reason why he got fired is because the teams were so undisciplined in Dallas, just committing penalties left and right. And you bring that guy to come coach your football team? A team that another franchise, championship or bust. We're the Steelers. We're this. We're that. Really? All right. You're in for some dark days.
I mean,
Hey
yeah, that
Miles, you
I was
go
just gonna
ahead.
say that kind of like signals that they're not gonna try to like go young at quarterback. Like they could bring Aaron Rodgers back. Like it's not like why would you do that? Why would you bring in a veteran coach to try to develop this young quarterback with a room full of veterans when you already made the playoffs with this guy Aaron Rodgers? Whether you want to run it back or not, the connection's there. So, I mean, we're going to hear that more and more as the offseason plays on. But that makes no sense for the Steelers. Like you said, I'm just echoing what you said. Like, if you wanted to see what you had with Will Howard, go young at coach. And then if you stink this year, you have a good pick or a high pick, and it's a better class to find your guy. But yeah, like you've tried this already with, like you said, TJ Watt. How many wins does TJ Watt have in the playoffs? I know they don't give wins to defensive ends, but like all these guys are on the team. You didn't win anything with them on the team. So what's the point of running it back? It's idiotic. It's stupid. Um, hey,
They're
at least they
stupid.
got their 9 wins.
Yeah, they're stupid because you know what? Even if you wanted to sell me on this idea you're going to maximize Aaron Rodgers for a year like last year and go all in on that 1 year to win a championship with Aaron Rodgers, who I don't know why you would think he's a championship quarterback at this point in his career, but regardless, then you don't trade George Pickens for a pack of peanuts. You don't trade him at all. You keep him in the building, regardless of the headaches he's given you in the past, hoping that his relationship with Aaron Rodgers will fix things, that Aaron Rodgers can stabilize the situation, even though that's not what he is. He's not a stabilizer.
Right.
But you bring him in and you keep that offensive weapons on the field. You have DK Metcalf, you keep him, you load this thing up on the offensive side of the football, so you guys are explosive offensively. Because the reason why they were losing football games on the stretch is because they weren't explosive enough offensively. So you didn't even do that right. So why did anyone believe that they were going to go out there and make the right choice for a head coach? Why?
And this,
It's the same people
they
making
went all
decisions.
in. They went all in this year. They traded for Jalen Ramsey, DK Metcalf,
Jalen
did all
Ramsey's
these
not an all-in.
things to
Ramsey,
surround Rodgers with whatever. And what'd you get? He won how many playoff games? Did they win a playoff
Jalen
game?
Ramsey is so smart
No.
to move him to safety. He
Right.
wasn't an all-in move. At this stage in his career, Jalen Ramsey's a used Toyota, or he's a RAV4. So you went and got a RAV4 and put him in your backfield with Joey Porter, and you thought you could have the answer? That makes no sense.
It felt like a lateral trade because you traded Minka Fitzpatrick, a good
insane.
safety, for a cornerback that you turned into a safety because he was no longer a good cornerback. I don't know. They're running things backwards. They went all in. It didn't work. That should signal to everybody in the organization, maybe we need to, try something different. We've been doing this for 15 years with Tomlin trying to chase that ring. It's not happening. This doesn't happen overnight unless you're the Patriots and you got voodoo magic. So it's like
They need an organizational reset the same way the Giants got an organizational reset when they brought in Harbaugh. They need the same thing. Guys who have been working there since we were children, guys who have been working there since before we were born, need to be fired. And until that happens, they're going to have the same problem the Giants had. They're headed into that dark era right now. The Giants are hopefully coming out of. That's what they're headed. It's the same thing. A proud franchise, and you're not learning from Mara's mistakes. You're not learning from those mistakes over that happening in New York or whatever, or happening in Dallas for that matter. At least Dallas got a quarterback. But like, right. You know what I'm saying? Like that they need a reset, and these managers, these old owners, like Art Rooney, they're too proud and they believe their own hype because they're a storied franchise to make any actual changes. That's what happened here. It's too bad. Should have known we're going to hire two black coaches in a row, by the way. Should have known that.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's switch it up. Let's go back to white. I think that might be the right decision.
Not that white guy though. Come on.
Hey,
the face of mediocrity. Like the face.
I was going to ask y'all. Do y'all think this signals for Aaron Rodgers to be back? And I think we're on the same. Yeah, he'll be back more than likely, especially being that his comments was Mike McCarthy gave me freedom. So he'll be back. He won't practice. He won't come to training camp. He'll go do an ayahuasca weekend and show up when he shows up. So I could see him being back because Will Howard isn't the answer. Offensive coordinator hire. Last one we got Mike McDaniels to the Chargers. What grade do you give that hire?
A
If
plus.
it's higher than A plus, if there's a grade higher than A plus, higher, like phenomenal higher. Miles, I'll let you take it away. Yeah, I know how much you love Justin Herbert and everything.
I don't hate Justin Herbert. I think he's a great quarterback, and I'm intrigued to see how he does with an actual genius that comes with Mike McDaniels. Like he had Greg Roman in there, and
That was
I
bad.
mean he deserved to be fired. That offense was stale. It was stale in Baltimore, and it didn't get much better in LA. So yeah, McDaniels. This is the best quarterback he's worked with, I think, ever. Yeah. So let's see what he does for a year. This is really his audition for next year's coaching cycle. And if he improves the offense and the Chargers somehow make a run, which they're another franchise that feels like they're just cursed for just mediocrity and winning enough games to make the playoffs and they lose. But hey, with another year in a different offense with some tricks to it, the draft hasn't happened. Maybe they add some more playmakers, draft some receivers. Um, but yeah, this could be something special over there. And yeah, Herbert could be a dark horse for MVP next year if things go right.
Yeah, slam dunk hire. Herbert has needed some stability at the offensive coordinator position for a while now, and you have that now with a guy like Mike McDaniel's, an A plus hire, and the Harbaughs do a good job as CEO coaches to get great coaches in the building. Now the Greg Roman thing was a blip, was a speed bump, and I knew it. I don't know why he keeps getting jobs because when he got the job with the Ravens, it was more Lamar's brilliance than any kind of offensive scheme that had gotten them to where they were, and their offensive line was dominant at the time. So cool, but to have this guy Mike McDaniel there, the way he's going to scheme up the run game, the way he's going to use their weapons, the way he's going to go use smart route combinations to get guys open, which is exactly what they need when your best wide receiver or your wide receiver one is Quentin Johnston. Like that's a joke. So they needed a great mind there to come in there and open things up. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm very excited. I think he will be the MVP next year. I'm that high on that higher. I think anybody that would have gotten Mike McDaniel would have raised the ceiling of your offense so much. But to have that quarterback who's already phenomenal and paired with that offensive mind and what he's going to be able to do with those receivers and what he's going to be able to do with less, I think you couldn't have made a better hire. So shout out to Harbaugh, shout out to the Chargers. I think it's going to be a great year for them next year.
Hey, like Miles said, we don't know what they're gonna do in the draft. We don't know what they're gonna do in free agency. They could get more weapons. They could try to shore up that offensive line just in case there are injuries, so it's no fall off. And hey, by the way, that man Patrick Mahomes is probably gonna be out all next season, so they should be one of the top two teams in their division, fighting for that number one seed in their division. Not number one seed, but that top seed in their division. Because you ain't got to worry about the Chiefs and the Broncos. Do they run it back and play this well again? And Bo Nix plays that well? I would put more money on Herbert showing up next year, depending on what they do in the draft and getting better. But Broncos could make some moves too. We'll see what ends up happening. But I like what the Chargers did right there. An OC job that is still open that people seem to not want that job is over in Philadelphia. The Eagles. I think McDaniel would have been a great hire for the Eagles. They currently are still doing interviews. I think Greg has one next Tuesday. Why? Why do y'all think nobody wants seemingly, I'll say seemingly with air quotes, seemingly doesn't want the OC job in Philly?
I know Greg thinks it's because of the quarterback. That's the easy way to take things. But if you look at it, they have weapons on this team. They've got assets to get more weapons on this team. Why wouldn't you want this job as an OC? So, sure, they've gone other places. I think it's more to do with um, when you look at the head coach, there's been a ton of, meddling when it comes to the different offenses that are run or what the OCs have tried to implement when it comes to the Eagles offenses. And yeah, Sirianni was an offensive coach coming over, but the offenses when it's run by him haven't been that great. So that's why this offseason was supposed to be a little different, where you go out, find a guy that can sort of like independently run an offense. But after seeing what happened with this past OC and seeing how things can shift and they might call for your job, Sirianni's pressured from up top to relieve you of your duties. I think it's just best for like Daboll and some of these other guys to go elsewhere where there's not that kind of pressure. Like the Eagles are a Super Bowl or bust team. Like this is not a team that's sort of looking at it like we're just trying to make the playoffs. We're trying to, we'll be better. We'll win a game next year in the playoffs. No, every year now with this team currently constructed, they're gonna have to pay some defensive guys and maybe in the draft some offensive guys to offset that. The goal is the Super Bowl, and that's not going to be any different next year. So I'm curious to see what they do. It's going to be somebody unknown, sort of. I could see that guy from the Rams. I'm not going to say his name. It's Shohei. I butchered it again. And then there's another guy I heard rumors on that could be coming over for that job. But yeah, the bigger name guys, there's too many egos in that room. The biggest ego of them all is the head coach, who, yeah, if things aren't going right, he's going to throw you under the bus. So not an interesting job to want to take. Like I wouldn't be too interested in it if I'm Mike McDaniel or if I'm Brian Daboll. Go somewhere else. Go if I'm Daboll, I'm going to Tennessee to work with a young quarterback that I liked in the draft last year in Cam Ward. Or take that job in Vegas where you're going to be able to mold a young quarterback in Mendoza who can be a really good quarterback in this league. Or I don't know. You pick. You pick a place. But I just can't see these guys picking Philly for those different reasons.
Wow. Yo, that was like, what's the name of that girl? What's her name, bro? What's the Asian girl name who does gymnastics? The girl everyone talking about. What's her name? You come on. It's not Gabby. It's not Gabby Douglas. Obviously, she's not Asian. But who's the girl? Who's the girl everyone's talking about? Yeah. That's so annoying me. But that was like
Lee?
Suni Lee. That was Suni Lee level flexibility, pliability. The way you bent into a pretzel to make that joint, to make that case. That was incredible. That was incredible, Miles. I mean, seriously, you were like on the bounce beam right there,
That was crazy.
like doing flips. Because, yo, I've heard every excuse in the book about why people don't want this job from people who like Philly, from people who like Philly, okay, from fans and all that stuff. And I heard one guy say, well, it's because they egg Patulo's house and these coordinators don't want to deal with that. It's the fans. Oh, okay, yeah, it's your fault because you're a fan. Okay, cool. I think every coordinator who's ever worked there, every coach who's ever worked in Philadelphia, ever, in every sport understands they're going to a volatile environment if things don't go well. So that is a load of crap. And then it's about Sirianni now. Sirianni's got over involved. Well, someone's gonna have to explain this to me, because from people who are tied to the organization, like LaShawn McCoy, who's been in the building and I'm sure still has people in the building who knows, they'll tell you that it's not the coach who's making changes to the offense, it's the quarterback who's saying, I don't like this, I don't like that, which is normal, by the way. Quarterback should be able to do that. There's nothing wrong with Jalen Hurts doing that. But he's the one saying he doesn't want certain route combinations in the offense and so forth and so on, right? He's the one who got to deliver the football to A.J. Brown and all that stuff and deliver the ball to Devonta Smith. It ain't Sirianni. So I'm gonna say this because I'm so happy we're talking about this now. I get giddy talking about this because I just think it's weird, like the gymnastics everyone's doing to avoid putting this on the quarterback. Usually when these OCs that are more what is it, decorated and have had a great career and have had head coaching jobs other places and want to get another head coaching job, usually when they're making a choice, they're going to go pick the place where a great quarterback is. They're going to go pick a place where a quarterback where they believe they can go, engineer their offense from scratch and have complete say-so over their offense, right? With a great quarterback, those two things can kind of marry up together, and they can have success in the following place they go to, right? So when McDaniel turns that job down and Brian Daboll turns that job down, for me, the way I look at it is, well, the way the public seems to view Jalen Hurts does not align with the way that people in the NFL views Jalen Hurts. That's my thinking. That's my thought process. Because to me, like, I don't think Sirianni is getting in the way of Brian Daboll. I'm sorry. I think Sirianni has too much respect for Brian Daboll. And if you want to say no, fine. For Mike McDaniel, he has way too much respect for that kind of offensive mind to say, yo, you can't do this, you can't do that. He ain't doing that. That's not the kind of coach that Sirianni has been, in my estimation, of watching that team operate the last couple of years. He didn't do that to Kellen Moore and all that stuff. But the issue that the Eagles have is the second that offensive line got a little bit older and got worse at run blocking, and they can't dominate teams in the trenches and have teams put 8 in the box and have Jalen Hurts make these easier reads. The second that changed, things got dicey with the quarterback play. That's what really happened. Okay, and Patullo was the fall last year. Patullo was the fall guy. That's what happened. But the reality is that Jalen Hurts has deficiencies in this game that he has to address. And he had them coming out of college, by the way. He's become a much better quarterback since he was in college. This is okay, but people don't want to admit that they've overrated him a bit. And that's look, that's up to you. If you want to continue to believe that Jalen Hurts is who you said he is, you said you think he's a top 5 quarterback, and you want to take a step back on that and say, okay, no, he's not top 5, he's top 7, he's still top 10. You want to do all that, the gymnastics that come with that? I'm not doing it. I'm not flexible. I'm not doing it. What I'll tell you right now is that they're not accepting this job because of the quarterback. The quarterback is the reason why offensive coordinators go to where they go. It's the reason why Brian Daboll is going to go coach Cam Ward, right? He believes in Cam Ward's ceiling more than he believes in Jalen Hurts' ceiling. Because the reality of it is Jalen Hurts has more weaponry around him. He has a better cast. He's a better offensive line. The team is superior. The roster is superior. But he chose to go coach Cam Ward. Now, why would he do that? You'd be closer to your end goal, right? Having a successful run with the quarterback, coaching the guy you coached before. You have intel on him. You coached him at Alabama, and you said, I'm going to go coach in Tennessee. So to me, that's an indictment. If there ever was an indictment on a quarterback, it's that he coached you before and said, I'm not going to coach you, even though you have the best situation around you. I'm going to coach this rookie quarterback who ain't got nothing, bare bones around him. I'm going to go coach him instead. They have some cap flexibility. That's it. That's an indictment, in my opinion. It just is. And Mike McDaniel's turning it down as well, right? Chargers roster is not as good. It's not as good as the Eagles roster, but the quarterback's way better, though. I said way better. I meant that. Way better. And so here we are. Here we are in a situation now where we're going to it's a reality check season for the Eagles. That's what this is. And I cannot wait to see what Eagles fans do, how they react, when I'm sure they're going to have to get off AJ Brown at some point. I got to figure out what they're going to do with him. And I cannot wait until they get the quote unquote cancer out of the building and AJ Brown, because he was all your problems and Patullo all your problems. When those two guys you can't blame are gone, what's next? You're going to blame Sirianni? I'm telling you right now, Sirianni's proven to be a good NFL coach. He's a good one. Just the reality of it. He's proven to be a good coach in the NFL. He's had success in the NFL. He's won. He has for all the carte blanche you give Jalen Hurts, you should give to Sirianni as well. He was a part of the winning. He was there too. It doesn't work. You can't do that. You can't just be like, oh, it's all Jalen Hurts. It's all Jalen Hurts. It sure as hell.
Nobody said it's all Jalen Hurts, but the same reason that you say, oh, Jalen Hurts is success, you can't put it on him. You put it on everybody else. But then Sirianni's this great head coach who doesn't benefit from a good roster.
Of course he benefits from a good roster as well.
The way you discuss it.
Of course he benefits from a good roster as well, but he's a good coach. He has to keep that thing together. That's hard. He's managing egos. He's done that well enough to get you guys there. Because I'm telling you one thing right now, this AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts beef ain't new. Them dudes have been beefing. This is a beef as old as what's been going on in Syria. Okay, this thing has been going on for a while. Okay, it's not like it's new. So they even when they won the Super Bowl, I didn't get the sense they liked each other. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so
Okay.
that's the reality of it. Since he's gotten there, it's been real rocky. It's been real rocky, and there's been reports about that. And your boy Brandon Graham went and ran his mouth about their beef too, right? He told us a little inner workings of what was going on. So I don't know, man. Like you get a lot of credit for keeping that thing together. As long as you did, you do get some credit for that. Is Howie Roseman the ultimate mastermind and the person who deserves the most credit for any winning the Eagles have done? Absolutely, absolutely. But when I can say that's the case. And the quarterback usually is the most credit goes to the quarterback. That's the way this sport works. And when I can say that isn't the case, that your quarterback is not the most singular force behind your winning, then why would OCs in this situation go like, I want to go coach there? So why would they do that? This is a powder keg, man, because something's got to give. Something's got to give. They're going to get rid of all the scapegoats, and now we're going to see what Jalen Hurts does with a lesser. Now, maybe the Eagles will adjust the roster and get better, and it probably will happen. Howard Roseman's that great, and we won't even. This will be a moot point because he won't have to have as much on his plate. But I want Jalen Hurts to have more on his plate.
There it is.
I want Jalen Hurts to have more on his plate. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see how you handle adverse situations. Can you raise the ceiling of an offense? Because me personally, I don't believe you can because I have not seen it with my own eyes. I have not seen it. I'd be a liar if I came on here and told you otherwise. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to do Sunni Lee backflips. I'm not going to do a triple cartwheel.
We've seen it in the past.
I'm not going to do it.
I don't know how we've gotten past this point where, like, now all of a sudden he's this average to below average quarterback who doesn't elevate any team that he's played on or any roster that he's been presented with. I don't know how we've gotten to this point where, yeah, now the discussion is, oh, he's not a good quarterback anymore. He's a bad quarterback. OCs don't want to work with him. I don't see that.
Miles,
I don't see it.
But Miles, you know I've been consistent what I say about Jalen Hurts for mad long, though.
Right.
I've been consistent
the other
through the
things
wins.
that you say. You've been real
through the wins.
when you
No, I'll renege. I'll renege.
Once you get a sniff,
I will renege.
you stuck on it.
Miles, I'll renege on things I'm wrong about. I just reneged on Bo Nix last week. Don't do that. I'll renege on things I'm clearly wrong about. Okay, but I'm just telling you that Jalen Hurts has to prove it to me that, and it's about in an adverse situation. You told me top 5. You said that. You came on here in the summer. I don't know if it was the heat. I don't know if it was like a gas leak in your apartment. You told me that he's a top 5 quarterback. You said it last year. So okay. So top 5 quarterbacks take that scenario.
He had a bad year.
No, it wasn't a down year because whenever the situation has gotten like this, whenever there's been injuries and all that stuff, he has struggled. It's not the first time. I've seen it. I've seen it before. I've seen it in 4K. No one's gonna tell me what I didn't. I saw it. I saw it. I seen it. So that's what I'm telling you. I'm just telling you right now.
So you're saying player plays bad when things are not great.
The pass blocking was still very good, and he still had those receivers around him. Guys were open. He didn't hit them.
Okay, I guess we were watching different games. We were watching different games.
The pass blocking was bad. He had all day against that 49ers front. He was in there patting the ball, pat, and he was just throwing it to the nebula. I don't know where he was throwing it to.
Okay, right, we can look at the concepts.
AJ Brown had drops.
We could look at the concepts until our faces are, the
stats also bear it out too. The statistics bear it out too. This is a statistical thing. The people in the NFL are ahead of the curve on this stuff. I'm telling you, they don't look at the situation with the Eagles and go, "Oh, it's Nick Sirianni." They look at the situation and go, and they don't say it's AJ Brown either. They say it's Jalen Hurts. And AJ Brown has been mad since he got there and been all weird about it because he does not believe in his quarterback over there. That is the problem. I'm telling you. When you start talking like that is you don't believe in the quarterback. It's not about no OC. I'm telling you right now, it's not just that. There's more to it than just that.
Right. So the guy who's been a 2-time All-Pro since he got to Philly, all of a sudden, yeah, the guy throwing him the ball sucks.
I mean, he's saying without the run game, that seems to be the case.
Okay, all right.
Because the run game is the reason why he was able to get those one-on-one matchups and all that. You couldn't double nobody because they were dicing. Am I making it up? Tone, is that not what happened? Did Saquon Barkley did he not leave the Giants and go for damn near 3K on the damn Eagles? That's what happened. I mean, he might as well have. They could have ran every play and they would have had success. And then you can one-on-ones on the outside with those receivers with you calling him Batman over there. The Devontae Smith was great, and the other guy AJ Brown was great too. You're getting one-on-ones. What's gonna happen? You're gonna kill. And Jalen Hurts does throw a really nice deep ball. He's good at that. But you know he doesn't do very well? He don't throw it over the middle of the field very well. He doesn't do that. He's never really done that very, very well at a high level. He doesn't like tight window throws in the middle of the field. It's never been his
I
thing.
just don't. That's not true. It's not true at all. But
Statistically, it is true.
it's not. There's plenty of film out there where he does work over the middle.
He don't do it that often. He doesn't do it that often. He's not a risk taker with the football. That's not exactly the way he plays. But the running game was such a big part of his arsenal. Him running the football, Saquon running the football. When that goes downhill, it's tricky. It's tricky. It looks how it looks this year when those things aren't operating at a high level. That's all I'm saying. And if he's top 5, that shouldn't be the case. Okay, because I saw Josh Allen play at a high level with throwing the ball to you, me, and Tone and all these. So you know what I'm saying. So I come on. What am I gonna do? What am I supposed to say? It was a down year. We'll see what happens next year. That's so boring, and it's just simply not only the case. It's not the case.
He doesn't have Forrest Gump calling plays anymore, so we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah, you see, okay.
Hey, so you said that the credit when we talk about the Eagles, you know, the singular driving force is not going to Jalen Hurts. The first name that will come on that list would obviously be Howie Roseman. The Lakers seem to have forgot that the greatest singular driving force of their most recent success in getting that championship in the bubble was none other than LeBron James. Jeanie Buss reports come out that essentially she's jealous, hates how much credit he gets, and specifically hates the fact that LeBron did not publicly or privately kiss the ring and thank them for drafting Bronny. She's denied the reports. She's blamed it on this is family drama. Rich Paul has came out and said, they've treated me well. They treated Bron well. Bron, his response was, I don't care. This has nothing to do with me. With these reports coming out, what was your initial reaction? What's your thoughts on what's going on with the Lakers, who, by the way, are in their last, how many of our games? The math on that's 23, 24 games, 11 and 13. They're currently struggling while this report came out as well.
I mean, look, I think we're always going to get here with the Lakers, and I think this is always bubbling up since the summer when they didn't give Bron the extension that he asked for. Apparently, that he came out and expected to get a bit more security on that contract, and they didn't want to add any more years because they figure he's not part of the plan anymore, and that Luka is the way they're going to move forward. That's a whole different conversation, by the way. I don't want to get into a tangent about their plan with Luka and how it's going to look. We can do that a different day. But obviously, like there's been some level of frustration between the Buss family and Bron, and it's, if you read the tea leaves and you pay close enough attention, you can trace this as far back to when they didn't go get Tyronn Lue when he wanted Tyronn Lue. Because Tyronn Lue spoke about it publicly and basically said they want to pick my coaching staff, and they offered me less money. Like they kind of just gave him an interview because LeBron requested that they give him an interview, but they never had any intention of ever hiring him, a championship winning coach, by the way, who's doing a damn good job with the Clippers as they kind of figure it out on the back end right now. And they're hot, 15-3 in the last few games, 18 games, whatever it is. So moral of the story is they've taken the shortcut. They've done what they want to do. They've said, hey, we're the Lakers. We're the almighty Lakers. Bron, you're not going to come in here and run it. You're not doing that. And the fans have had that mentality as well. When LeBron got there, defacing roles of Bron in LA because you're not Kobe, this and that. They get real weird and real sensitive about that stuff. So I think it's a cultural kind of issue that's happening in LA with the fan base and the ownership group that perpetuates that. They perpetuate this ideology too. It's not like just the fans have this ideology where they treat new stars that come in a weird way because you're taking up the mantle from Kobe Bryant and you can never be Kobe and you're making the comparison all the time. Jeanie was running the organization into the ground. The Buss is running the organization into the ground before he got there. I don't know why people need a history lesson here. It was awful. It was the Robert Sacre years. It was Smush Parker. It was dysfunctional with Kobe being there. Once Kobe was in the back nine, it was Nick Young and the dysfunction there, the Jeremy Lin, Nick Young team, right? It was just horrific. And then they went and they were so bad they would get a bunch of high draft picks and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo and Julius Randle and all these guys or whatever. Cool. So things had been going bad. Bron decides to come there, not because of Jeanie Buss, because of Magic Johnson. And he comes over. Magic Johnson, after a year, says, well, this is such a dysfunctional situation behind the scenes. I'm out of here. I'm gone. Like, I'm leaving. I'm not dealing with Pelinka. I'm not dealing with the Busses anymore. This is disgusting. I'm out of here, because they wanted to elevate Pelinka, who had no basketball background outside of being Kobe's agent, to the GM job, which pissed Magic off and ran him off. He was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not dealing with y'all. I love your father, Jeanie, but I'm out of here, gone. So the dysfunction has clearly been all about them. Like, if you want to talk about LeBron and blame LeBron, I just gave you almost in chronological order, like the history of what's been going wrong with this Lakers organization, how they've been dysfunctional, and how it all boils down to the infighting in the Buss family, and how they ran the team like a damn bodega, and how that was their only source of revenue and income. They were not making money on the side. It wasn't like Ballmer with Microsoft money on the side. It wasn't like that. And they weren't like going big game hunting for free agents, right, in those years prior to Bron getting there. They weren't doing any of those things. If Bron got there, he was the first big domino. Bron got there and had no guarantee that they were going to get another star. He pulled strings with Clutch and got AD to get there. AD comes there, boom, championship. You got AD in his prime. AD was kind of on a decline, and they flipped that into then getting Luka Doncic, which only happened as domino effect because LeBron got AD to come there to play with him. So you wouldn't even have Luka if it wasn't for LeBron coming in the first place. So all this to say that the least you could do is draft Bronny, even if you felt like Bronny wasn't worth the damn draft slot. The least you could do is that. And if you blame LeBron James for a Russell Westbrook move, okay, let's say Bron was involved. Bron push for Russell Westbrook. It was a mistake. Whatever. You want your superstar to come out there, your franchise player to come out there and take the blame and take the pressure off you for the Phil Russ experiment? Why? How does that benefit you? How? Like, you want to put him out there on First Street and have him take the blame, take the bows and arrows for that? You should just be happy he's there because you got a championship out of it, right? Which is something you were never going to sniff for the next 20 years if he had never come, right? So it is just weird. It's this weird entitlement. And I will say this to close, like, the sooner Mark Walter gets these bumbling idiots in the Buss family and Pelinka out of the building and out of the organization, the better off they're going to be long-term. That's the reality of the situation. They have been the problem. They have been the cancer that has plagued that organization for years. It's been them. They've been the problem. They've had issues even when Kobe was there, when Kobe wanted to leave, which people conveniently forget about. Like I said, like Kobe would just love the time of the Lakers all the time there. It was dysfunctional then too. Like, they have been through so many things with that organization. They have operated with cheap margin and cheap costs. And you can even see Pelinka now. Oh, well, we're not going to invest in this year, right? But you tell the fans every year, championship or bust. And you had JJ Redick literally putting championship mindset and everything in the offseason. Remember, he was talking about that. And then this year, you're going, well, we're not going to spend money. We're not going to spend big money on or get very aggressive in the trade market. We're just going to wait, and we're going to build this thing around Luka Doncic. And I don't know if you've watched Luka Doncic this year. He's leading the league in scoring and everything because he can do that. Cool. He takes bad shots at bad times and he misses them and is killing them, and he does not defend. And that's the guy you're gonna over here just fully invest in. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. But I'm saying be careful, because Nico was not completely wrong in watching Luka Doncic play basketball. He is not. The shot selection from Luka, that's the scariest thing to me. It's not the defense. It's the shot selection, actually. That scares me. The Lakers will be on a run, and Luka will do a step-back jump shot contested. It's like clockwork. It's weird. It's like he wants to put the team away with one shot. He takes hero ball shots. And it's not that you're not capable of making those shots, but he takes them at the worst time. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this too. And all this stuff we're talking about with LeBron James and all the issues with LeBron and Jeanie having issues with him, he's been their best player in the fourth quarter. He's been their best player. When they come back in games, it's because Bron's leading that group and Luka's not on the floor. And DeAndre Ayton is not on the floor either. they're in a very weird spot right now because you're gonna let Bron walk. Bron has the most fourth quarter points in basketball. You're gonna let him walk at this stage in his career. You're gonna try to justify it because you say he's old. The stats don't bear it out. And the guy you are actually looking at as your savior, and Luka Doncic, is looking more like a problem than a savior. So they have it all ass backwards over there in LA. But Jeanie is the cancer that plays that organization. And I think I don't know the history lesson I just did. Right, I think it proves that. So that's where I'll leave it. That's where I'll leave it. But we'll see what happens.
Well, I agree as a Lakers fan. Jeanie Buss has been terrible for Bron out there. Luka, I was happy at first when we got the trade, but I'm not so happy now, with life after Bron. Luka isn't. If y'all didn't like Bron, I don't know how y'all like Luka. He don't exemplify nothing that Kobe was about. So I don't.
Mhm.
If y'all didn't like Bron, wait till Bron leaves and let's see how much y'all like Luka as the sole contributor. And that's if it might be just him because how they've been talking about and treating Austin Reeves. If I'm Austin, y'all could lick the bottom of my shoe. I'm going elsewhere and getting this bag. So it might not be all cupcakes and roses after Bron leaves, which has been rumored now that Golden State gonna try to get him next year. You be a free agent, you come over here with Steph, and they said they even thrown in the mix. They might try to trade to get Giannis. So there's teams that you let them walk. Go ahead, let them walk. There are teams still at that age going to 42 next season that will still be like, we'll take Bron gladly.
Yo, and I'll say this too, hot take, I guess, because it probably will be. I'm not paying Austin Reeves $200 million as a centerpiece on your team with Luka moving forward because you have two guards that can't defend. I'm not doing it. And it's not a knock on Austin Reeves necessarily. Like, it's just that's not a way to build your basketball team in this modern era. You're not going to defend anybody.
He's gonna get that from like a bad team. I don't see like a good team with the apron currently constructed giving him that much money. Like he's good, but
He's very good.
is he the difference between you making the playoffs and you going on a run to the finals? No.
On a team that, like, if he was like on OKC and there are great defenders around him, obviously he's oh my god,
but that's
he's
different.
A godsend. But not on this roster and not with Luka moving forward. No. And so Luka has major awards in this game, and this is all to say I'm not gonna. Luka's still one of the best players in basketball, even with that being said, like he just is. But can you win a championship with Luka as your best player on the team? I don't believe so. I'm off that boat.
It's harder.
I don't need to see more.
It's harder to build around him too. Like you really have to have defenders all over the court. Bigs. That's what Nico did.
Yep.
Drafted, likely traded for what's his name, Gafford, and that's how they made that run. Is you put all these defensive bigs and Finney Smith on the wing. Like, if that's how you have to construct your team, like I don't know, it's tough.
It's hard to do that now with the aprons in place and all that stuff. And
right.
And again, you're everything you're doing is to hide Luka on defense. Like if you're assuming Luka's gonna get beat, and that the guy behind him is such a good defender that it's not gonna matter. Or you're gonna get a stop anyways. That's how you have to build your team. That's the best way to kind of put it. And when that's the way you have to build your team around your best player and the guy that's your savior, the guy you want to coordinate, well, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. It's gonna be really hard to do that. So good luck to them. I think Bron is over it. And justifiably so. And Bron doesn't need it. Bron doesn't need it. And I said this, I'll close with this. I said this when Bron went there. As it was cool, whatever, went to the Lakers. I said if there was a fan base that I felt least good about getting LeBron, it was the Lakers. Because I know how they are with the Kobe stuff. I know how they are with, like, you know what I mean? Like, I know the way they view themselves, even though they are at bottom of the barrel franchise at the time that he came over. Like one championship wasn't good enough and this and that, and you'll never be Kobe. I was in LA, man. I was canvassing. I spoke to people. They really believe, like, that's how they talk. So I knew, like, just from a fan perspective. And if the fans feel that way, I don't think the ownership feels much different. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say they're much more intelligent than the fans. They're not.
Real quick, do you think Luka and Bron have a good relationship in LA right now? especially with all the circus and the everything going on. I feel like Luca's more low key. I don't know. I
I
feel
think
like
Lucas.
I
I don't
feel
think
like they
so.
don't
I
have
don't think
a
so.
You
I
don't
don't
think
think so.
so?
If Braun was at the peak of his powers, Braun, as much as people don't like to give the credit, I think Braun, even though he's not taking the final shot, Braun is of the same mindset of Kobe of trying to win. And I think Braun knows you aren't winning with Luca. He's not of the same cloth of Braun, of Kobe, of MJ. He's an extremely offensively great engine and talent. But when we talk about that upper echelon of greatness, Luca isn't there. He doesn't do what MJ does, what Braun does, what Kobe does. So Braun, we could have fun. Hey, great step back side 3-pointer when you should have passed it. I'll shake my head and say good job because I know this is my last run in the Lakers jersey. But if he had full control, I don't think so. Especially being that he's the one that leads the fourth quarter in points. He's the one that's able to close out games and get people the best shots. The game just comes to memory. The game where he could have went and got his double digit record still. He makes that pass to the corner. Respectfully, I don't think Luka makes that pass. Luka doesn't always make winning plays, if we're being completely honest. And Greg
That's fact.
pointed it out. If you watch the Lakers games, I've watched it, and he acts as if at times this logo three, this step back three, is going to count for 6 points, and it'll knock the team out, and the other team won't want to play after this. It's not boxing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a one. It's not a shot. That's like a one hit. That'd be like, oh, that might be the end of the fight. No, we've seen throughout this season alone, teams come back with a minute left, down 15. Luka, what are you doing? I question the IQ when he does stuff like that. So I think in the hardest of hearts, if he had full control like he normally does, LeBron would have been told y'all, nah, this nigga Luka ain't it, man. He ain't like me. He ain't built like me.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that you said Miles said he's low key. Luca's low key and all that. I think Luca's being strategically quiet because Luca, like they're gonna turn on him soon. Those fans are gonna turn on him. I promise you. Like it's just LeBron's deodorant right now, so he's kind of covering the bad smell of what Luca's doing with these negative plays and these not winning plays. Because Robert Horry and James Worthy at the games, they be killing Luca. They be killing Luca after the games. And I'm telling you, it's going to get louder and louder and louder when Bron out there. Because Bron's like, he'll come in the game and go on a stretch where he'll like help them get back in the game and they might win the game. They shouldn't have won because Luca put them in a hole. It's when Bron's not there anymore to cover those things up. And if they don't get the roster right around Luca to where they can cover those things up, it's going to get ugly with those fans so fast. Luca's like being quiet. He's like, yo, I'm just gonna like let LeBron take these arrows. It's good that LeBron's in the news right now because I don't want people to focus on my play. I don't focus because he has the most all-star votes right now. I think Luca, right? Like he was the highest vote getter in the West. Okay, we're going to see, and as part of that's the international stuff, but we're gonna see how fast that changes in LA because he's not playing good basketball right now. Not up to the standard we would hold a guy to help of his caliber up to.
I think the other thing too, I don't know if y'all remember, it was maybe a couple weeks ago or last month. They asked him about something regarding JJ Redick mentioned something about his offensive play, and he basically scoffed at it and was like, I don't need anybody telling me how to play offense. Yeah, I think he's purposely being quiet, but he's inwardly arrogant and thinking that I ain't did nothing wrong. It's not me. Just like
And they're gonna
when you
fire JJ
heard,
before they get to him. JJ will get fired before they ever
yeah.
say anything to Luca.
Just I
But
mean, you heard
JJ's
it
right.
even over in New York, Josh Hart with the cat situation. He said, "Don't talk to me anymore about his shot attempts. Let's talk about how many blocks he's getting." I think even on the East Coast, it is his time is there is running thin with even with his teammates. That's why you have a players only meeting because Cat defensively, even though you knew what you was getting, it's even something just as simple, just like getting back on defense. That's effort. We know you're not a defensive player of the year, but you could get back on defense. And speaking of the defensive aspect and having your best player as a star not playing defense, do you think Jalen Brunson is getting a pass for his level of defense?
Um, sure, but the formula for the Knicks to win was always put four defenders around Brunson anyway. Like he's a smaller guard. It was going to be tougher for him to be able to guard at a high level anyway. I mean, I can't think of any guard outside of like CP3 that was really like a strong defender like that as a small guard. So yeah, for Brunson, he's not ever going to be like a great defender. Is he like terrible? Like there's times where it's rough, but he can he can defend a little bit. It's just it's a tough pairing of him and Cat. Like that's what makes it so much harder. Like this thing, if you look at it, this whole thing kind of took a shift once they couldn't re-sign Hartenstein. Like Hartenstein was literally the perfect big for this Knicks team. Like unselfish, could pass it, played defense, played great defense, was tough. All the things that Towns is not. So you pivot and you trade for an all NBA talent in Towns, which I mean it's a great pivot. You get rid of Randall, who you weren't really going anywhere with, but I mean you see the warts that were shown in Minnesota over here too. Like there's stretches where you put Mitchell Robinson out there, who at times they'll do the hack a shack, and it's hard to have him on the court. This team looks 10 times better when it's him on the court as opposed to Cat. So yeah, that's what makes this tough. Brunson Brunson's great. They went through a little rough patch this last like 2 or 3 weeks. But I think the worst of it is like Towns is this might be his worst year in the NBA, honestly. Like even that game against Embiid the other night, played 16 minutes, fouled out. Like that's his MO. You can't really trust him because he gets his hand in the cookie jar. He's hooking when they're looking for it. He gets stupid ticky tack fouls that you got three fouls and it's 10 minutes into the second quarter. We're at a disadvantage. So I don't know what they're gonna do at the deadline. Whether they sounds like they'll try to trade for like a point guard spark off the bench, a backup big, insurance. But whatever they do, the big move might have to wait until the off season. And yeah, if that's Giannis, that's the button you got to press because it's not working. This Carl Towns combo is not working, and I don't know. I don't know how they get
Hey,
it to work.
as somebody that's locked in with the Knicks, do you think, with how the season is going, especially the last couple of weeks, do you think y'all should have kept Tibbs?
No, no, I don't think so. Like, I think we kind of hit our, I don't want to say plateaued, but that was as far as Tibbs could get us. Like a guy who's not willing to take like criticism, work in collaboration with assistants. Like that's the difference between him and Mike Brown. And Mike Brown has his faults too. Like it hasn't been all peaches and cream since he got here. We had a good run, and then we had 3 weeks of what the hell is going on in New York. So, but at least he's willing to try different lineups. Like that was the thing. Tibbs decided to try different lineups in the playoffs, in playoff series. When you haven't tried it all year, you decide to try different lineups, and you don't even know if it's gonna work. Like that's what was the most frustrating. Like at least we've seen like 9 or 10 different variations of a lineup to see. All right, this works. These guys play well together. This works. Like, sure, we had a rough stretch, but I'd rather us have a rough stretch while we're trying things out in December and January than the Eastern Conference Finals when you're literally coaching for your job. So, um, yeah, Tibbs was never. It was never going to work here. Um, yeah.
Hey, so I want to end off with this. We're gonna go across the bridge over into Brooklyn. It's been rumors and conversation, especially after a most recent game where it seems like Cam Thomas was concerned about his field goal percentage. Before the season started, it was discussions that Cam and MPJ would be players that will be moved more than likely once the trade deadline comes. As our Nets insider, our Nets aficionado, do you think with this trade deadline around the corner that actually MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., ends up staying and Cam is the one that's going to be out?
I don't think Cam's gonna get traded because I don't think Cam has a market. I don't think anybody wants him. The Nets try to trade him in the off season around near draft season, and that's what Sean Marks does most of his trades. Like he actually doesn't like to trade during the trade deadline. He'd rather not do that. But I just think that his value is negative with the new CBA with the apron thing, and it's kind of gonna. As far as MPJ goes, I think all of his suitors have gotten hit. The Warriors took the loss for Jimmy, and so I don't know if they'll be as aggressive anymore. And my dear Dunleavy said, like, if I'm going to come off these picks that where we won't have Steph, like, because that's what teams want. That's what the Nets wanted, apparently, was the picks where, way into the future where Steph won't be there because they won't be as good. He was like, if I'm going to do that, I need to get a great player in return. I don't think that MPJ fits the bill of a great player. I think they kind of told you they're not going to do it. And the Bucks, right? Like they're in shambles. Obviously, Giannis is hurt. Giannis hates everybody in the room, so that's a problem too. And it's more like Giannis is gone in the off season and barely plays the rest of the way. And they're not going to make any more win now moves around Giannis because they know the inevitable is here. It has arrived as well. And Giannis made this way harder than it had to be, right? With the way he's handled the situation. But Cam has no value. And I know people are going to sit there and act as if they don't understand, blah, blah, blah. It's a money thing, but it's also the way he plays the game thing. Like now you're prioritizing longer defenders that can guard the point of attack, and they get stops as well as they can score. Like that's the big thing, and they move the ball. Like the game's in a different place. Euro ball's kind of infiltrated in American basketball, and so the way that a guy like Cam Thomas plays is just not suited for really the game at this level, not unless he's going to be off your bench just as a microwave guy. And even then, you got to defend, and he doesn't defend at all. So there's that. And his attitude handling the situation is not helping him. And he got hurt. It's a bad situation. His values are its lowest. Actually, that's what I was going to say about the Cat situation. What would worry me as a Knicks fan is the fact that with the whole apron thing and this being his worst year, I don't know that you can actually move him. Because who's going to invest that kind of money in their cap? Unless he goes to a bad team, you rather to a bad basketball team. That's the only way it's going to work.
That's why you do it. You would do it. They're not going to be able to do like we trade with Milwaukee and that's it. It's going to have to be expanded to a 3-team deal, and that's where I could see. Yeah, you trade Cat, you trade Macau, and then you're going to have to take. You might take like I've been seeing it floating around like a Jeremy Grant back. Where that's not the best contract in the world, but
wait. So in that deal, he goes to the Blazers of all teams. They think that's what happened. The Blazers who are trying to build around lane. The Blazers want Mikal Bridges. That's what they want. They want.
Well, yeah, that's what I just said.
They don't want no Cat.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Relax. Like I said,
he's saying for the money line up. Yeah.
So where the
Cat wouldn't go to Portland. Whoever the third team, Cat will go to the third team. Portland will have to be a part of that mix. Portland will get Mikal. Jeremy Grant will have to go back, and Cat will go to whatever that third team they would have to find.
Also, this is a one-on-one deal with the Blazers you're talking about, like a transaction with them and not the Bucks. This is because I just think that's what we're talking about. Because if you're talking about the Bucks being involved, then the third team's the Bucks, and I don't think he's not going to the Bucks. Like that's what I'm saying. Even if bad teams are taking Cat right now because they want to preserve their money and they want to build a young, athletic, defensive-minded team. Guys that can defend, move the ball, connectors. Like that's what the NBA is.
Yeah,
now.
sure.
So Cat doesn't really fit that anymore.
But look, if you're gonna get like 6 picks, which who is it? Portland has Milwaukee's picks over the next few years. So that's enticing enough to get off of some of those contracts. So if they do that, you'll take a Karl Towns who has an option after next year. He's a free agent. There's a reason we didn't pay him because we don't want to pay him.
He's going to opt in.
We don't want to lock him in. The contract that he would have been locked in for 2 years, 150. Go to hell. I'm not doing that. Like Karl Towns, I appreciate you coming to New York. You're not worth $80 million. Good luck to whoever gives you that money. But the sooner that he's out, I mean, the sooner that we can
All I'm
stop
saying,
talking about it.
Miles,
Like
is that
I
it's
get what you're
harder
saying. He's
now
not,
to
his
move
stock
a
is
bad
not high
contract
right
than
now.
ever before. So you might be stuck with this guy. And because like I don't know if that's enough for them to be like, I'm gonna take him back. He's gonna opt into the last few years of his deal. Maybe it doesn't matter to Milwaukee to get their picks back, but he also raises your floor a little bit, and you're not even bad. Like you want to be bad at that point. Like you see what I'm saying? I don't know the way out of the cat experience.
I don't
Like
know.
they should have
I
never
don't know
gotten
if
him in
he
the first
raises the
place.
floor. He might be good, but
He's
there's
gonna help you win some games.
two ends of the floor. There's one
Yeah, he's
floor
gonna
that he
score 50
doesn't
points a
work
couple
on.
times. You're gonna win a couple games. Like you know what I mean? Like Cat's not as bad as he's playing. Can we also do that too? He's not as bad as he's playing. Cat is playing as bad because he is static with Mike Brown. It's not working. Okay, there's an issue there. There's a problem.
All right.
Something
But
happened.
look,
He wasn't this bad last year.
the last time he was the guy on a team, they were not winning games. When
They had to
Cat
go
has
get
had to be the
Gobert.
guy, they didn't win games in
Yeah,
Minnesota.
yeah,
They
but
didn't
that's the
start
point.
winning games until they got Anthony Edwards.
This is all relative. He's gonna raise the floor the way Michael Porter Jr. raises the floor for the Nets and win some games. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't like I'm saying they're gonna be 10 wins bet, but he might account for 6 or 7 wins. He's gonna go score 50 points because he can do that. That's all I'm
Okay,
saying. And
so
you
they'll
don't
win
want that
12
to happen.
games. He gave them 6 wins, they'll win 12 games.
12.
All
You
right,
think they're
that's
gonna win
fine.
12? All right,
They're
man.
not going to
Look,
be a good team.
listen, you're gonna
They
be
still
you're gonna
got
be a
Kyle
stiff taking
Kuzma. They
your
still got
money.
Miles Turner. They're not a good team. That's why
Hey,
Giannis is
Miles
so up in
Turner with
arms.
Cat is not the makings of a team that's horrific, and you want to be bad. Is all I'm saying. So I just think Knicks fans got to woosah a little bit and kind of assess this thing for what it is, because it's going to be tricky. And if we're being very, very honest about it, unless Giannis comes out and says, "I want to go to the Knicks," which the way he's handled his business, that's not the way. Is he going to do that? He didn't even want to tell you these jokers I want to leave. He's just doing cryptic messages because he doesn't want to be disliked by Milwaukee fans for whatever reason. All 10 of them. So
All
can you
right. So
imagine?
do we think that he's acting like his agent's acting as their own entity as opposed to like working in, lockstep with him? So like anything they're saying, oh, I didn't say that. That's my agent.
That's
That's all
exactly what he did.
BS. That's
That's exactly
BS,
what he
though.
did. But that's what he did. That's what he got. I'm saying he is so worried about public perception. He did that. He like acted. He separated himself from his agency and said, I didn't ask for a trade. I'm like, nigga, what? That's what he did. So I just
All right, but then all these other rumors that come out about him being unhappy or these other teams that he would want to
those are
be on, or if he wanted to be on the Knicks, he's saying that behind the scenes. Like
well,
he wanted to be a Knick in the offseason. I still think that's something that he wants to do. It's just
sure.
I don't think it happens during the season. It got tricky once this calf injury happened. And
I
even so,
said when y'all got Cat that y'all shouldn't have done it because of the Giannis domino. I was talking about the Giannis domino for a while, talking about it for my Nets, talking about it as the Knicks. The Knicks were always in the mix because they had a lot to offer, and y'all dug into y'all insurance policy and y'all life insurance, and you guys pulled all that money y'all had been saving to go get Cat in the building. And I thought it was stupid then. I think it's stupid now, and here we are. And I always knew we'd get here. I think Mazel, you knew, like, what else was going to happen? You can't play 2 guys who can't defend in the same lineup in the postseason. You saw how it works. So, and arguably they had a better team in the postseason before they traded for Cat with DiVincenzo and Randall. Here we are. We always knew we'd get here. So now it's going to be hard to get off that contract. We're going to see what happened. They put themselves in a bind. And if we're being honest about it, being very honest, Leon Rose? He probably should be fired if we're being honest, because if you trade 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, what you did, and he is what he is for you guys. He's not great. He has not been great in New York. He's been okay, and then you go and get Cat, compound those 2 things, those 2 mistakes. Those are huge mistakes that affect your championship window. In this 8-win environment, good luck. That's a fireable offense. So I'm saying we're gonna get there some point. So it's New York. It can happen tomorrow. I'm just telling you. I'm never. I'm gonna tell you what I told. I'm never wrong. I'm just early.
We haven't seen the other moves be made yet. So,
I'm telling you what moves y'all got. Y'all got no. You got no bullets. I'm saying, what's the word of the bullets? Yeah, your chamber is empty. That's what I'm saying. You ain't got
The
to
chamber's empty. Now it's empty. All right, look. When that sham bomb hits your feed, I don't want to hear nothing.
Okay. I hope so for you.
Hey,
And
I
then
agree with
wow
Kenny.
hits you.
I agree with Kenny Beecham, man. This trade season has been terrible. He made a tweet like, "Yo, y'all preventing me from feeding my family because this NBA trade week has been absolutely terrible. If the Blazers, yeah, if the Blazers are in any of these trades, I hope that they make a good, smart trade. They actually have been one of the hottest teams this month. They're 9-2 in the last 11 games. They've been playing a lot better since Chauncey Billups has been under investigation. They figure something out.
That's a correlation he's making.
And they figure something out with Denny Avia, Caleb Love, Donovan Clingan. They got a pretty nice squad over there. So don't break that up just for, I'm not saying they are hard, but just not for no cat. Like, let it be a trade that's going to actually help them. They are currently a playing team, which means I think they make the right moves. They could be, especially with Dame coming back next season, they could be a top 6, top 7 team in the West next season with a healthy Dame and all these other pieces that they got. So y'all know the vibes here at the BME podcast, man. This was a great one. Y'all gonna enjoy this one. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. We trying to be here for a good time and a long time. Y'all know the vibes here. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. Bench mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.